Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I've been dating my boyfriend, Andrew, for 3 years now. We met in our final year of university, and I pretty much know everything about his life. Since we started living soon after graduating and getting jobs, our lives are completely intertwined, and most of our friends are mutuals now. I knew about him having a female best friend and that they have known each other for more than a decade. They grew up in the same neighborhood and even went to the same high school. When I first started dating Andrew, I was a little paranoid about his friendship with Lara, and that caused a few hiccups in the beginning of our relationship. It was hard for me to accept that he had someone almost as important as his girlfriend. But he assured me time and again that they are nothing more than just friends, and I don't have to worry about him cheating on me. That wasn't all. He even brought Lara, and she told me to my face she's never going to date Andrew, as he's not her type, and showed me the picture of someone she was interested in at that time. I knew I was being an a-hole at that time by being insecure, but still I found comfort in their reassurance. I never saw Lara as a potential competition ever again and trusted Andrew. Fast forward to 3 years later, he comes home one night and tells me Lara called him and asked for his help. He said that she's finally lost her apartment because of not being able to pay rent and needs a place to crash at for some time. He asked me if I have any issues with her moving in with us. I wouldn't say I wasn't uncomfortable with the situation, but I still agreed because I knew about how Lara was having some financial problems for a few months now. I did think for a second that this could be problematic in the long run. For starters, we are a young couple living together, and no matter how close a guest is to us, we'll have to adjust to make them comfortable. Secondly, I work mostly from home while Lara is currently jobless and homeless. She was dating the guy she was interested in college, but they broke up a few months back, so she's definitely at the lowest point in her life. I knew from experience that we don't match on a lot of things, and our way of living is very different. I had OCD before, which is very much under control now. But still, there are things I absolutely cannot bear without overreacting or going into panic mode. Knowing how Lara is a free spirited person, there are bound to be clashes between us, and there isn't a way to think about her feelings and my comfort at the same time. I'll either have to shut my mouth and let her do whatever she wants, or tell her to adjust or back off on some habits which could be very cruel in her situation. So I was a little bit conflicted about her moving in, and I tried to suggest alternatives to Andrew. I asked whether we can help her out by paying the rent or find someone who's looking for a roommate. But Andrew said that she wouldn't accept financial help, and letting her crash here is the least we could do. So I had to say yes in the end. Never in all my time of knowing both of them had I imagined finding out about their past in such a shitty manner. After Lara moved in with us, what I feared happened. She rarely cleaned up after herself and kept looking for jobs online or drowning her sorrows out by playing loud music. I told her how uncomfortable these things are, and she said she'd try harder without implementing those in her actions. I had a meeting today with an international client, so I had to wake up at 5 a.m. because of time zones. I couldn't go back to sleep after that and was already on edge due to lack of sleep. I decided to cook breakfast for everyone and cleaned everything before hopping into the shower. I had about 30 minutes of extra time before logging in for work. But when I came out, I saw the kitchen trashed. She had apparently decided to make pancakes instead of eating the egg toast I made, and the counter was covered with batter and syrup drops. Somehow, the dishes were piled up. I lost my patience and started going off on her for not being responsible enough for her age. That's when she came at me and told me to mind my own business and look into my own life before calling her irresponsible and trashy. She said that I'm pretending to be a clean freak and someone who has her life figured out because I have an obsessive need to prove myself superior. She called me out on my past fears and said I still haven't let go of my paranoia that Andrew would one day wake up and like her better. I didn't feel like listening to her talk nonsense anymore, so I was about to kick her out of my house when she said she understands where I'm coming from, seeing how she dated Andrew in the past. I was shocked into silence. I had no idea that they dated each other. I did ask Andrew about why he never tried to go for her, but never once did he remember to mention their history. I was frozen, and she took the chance to continue what she was saying. She called me a blind woman because I couldn't even see how Andrew brought her into this home because he still had feelings for her, even though she rejected him a long time ago. She said she could snatch him away any second she wants, but she just doesn't look at him that way. But if I don't behave myself, she'd actually ruin my relationship. She went so far as to say that if she was in my place, she'd have packed her bags and left the house the moment she found out her boyfriend is inviting his ex to live with him. But I was too flabbergasted to react. My mind couldn't even begin to comprehend the lies. The only thing I could do was take my coat and step out to process all the information. It's true that she needs to go, and I have no doubt about that. But what about my relationship? Will I be an a-hole to trust her words completely? Am I just letting her influence me when Andrew doesn't think of her that way? As for them dating in the past, it was years ago, and I'm his present now. So, am I just trying to convince myself, or should I actually trust him here? So I kicked the best friend out of the house, which was an obvious step. But it's been a week and I'm still not clear where my relationship is headed. When I confronted my boyfriend about the things Lara said, he was sheepish and didn't meet my eyes. That was something that I can't get out of my head. I always notice these small things, and him avoiding my eyes is a sign that somewhere deep down he feels guilty about not coming clean about his past relationship with that girl. But at the same time, I can't overlook the fact that I even had a few relationships in the past. That should not define my current one, and I'm trying very hard to give him a chance to explain himself. And he did say that he was just trying to protect me. Apparently, when I first started acting insecure, he thought it's best to not tell me about their history, as that would make me run away without even trying. And that's another thing I have issues with. Even if they had a relationship, he should have assured me after coming clean instead of hiding it from me. It should have been my decision whether or not I want that to be a part of my life or not. And yes, I might have not tried dating him, but in the end, it would have been me choosing not to have that kind of complication in my life. To be honest, seeing how this all turned out, it would have been a wise choice. Anyway, he told me that whatever they had has nothing to do with me and that he's loyal to me only. He said he was actually planning our future together and had no idea why Lara would say something like that to me. He also apologized, but I couldn't even trust him at that point, so I told him I needed space. Currently, I'm crashing at my sister's place and need your opinions. Do you think I should give up on my relationship just because that woman tried to manipulate me? Or am I being dumb by even listening to what Andrew is saying? Wow, a lot of you strongly feel that Andrew is lying. I agree with some of you who said I'm the one who understands my relationship the best and thus decide by myself whether or not I'm willing to work for it. I was thinking of breaking up with him because no matter what anyone says, the truth is he's always treated me the best. Never once did I have a complaint about being mistreated or any red flags. Not until I found out about him omitting a very important part of his history with his BFF, and that's something I can't overlook. I try to convince myself that the past is just his past and I should judge him for the time we've spent together. But I know my limits and I'll never fully trust him again. I felt like there's no point in wasting any more time working on a relationship that has less than a 20% chance of succeeding. That was until Andrew made Lara apologize to me. She called me yesterday and said sorry for her behavior and the things she said to me. Her reason? She was frustrated with her life and was jealous of mine, so she tried to make me miserable, and there's nothing more to it. She said they have been friends since they broke up in high school, and she'd understand if I'm uncomfortable with having her in my life. She also said that she wouldn't bother me ever again and I shouldn't worry about her being in Andrew's life. And that's what made me change my mind. If he's willing to break it off completely with her, then maybe I can try again. I don't know. I'll think about this again with a clear mind. Hi all. I once posted here about how my boyfriend's BFF almost sabotaged my relationship. Just thought I should update people who gave me advice. I went back to my boyfriend after 40 or 50 days. He kept calling and apologizing for lying and urged me to try one more time. So we did, and I'm glad I went back because we're married now. Last 2 years were a roller coaster ride, but now I can't believe I'm a wife. We still don't talk to Lara, and she wasn't invited to the wedding either. That was one thing I couldn't have in my life, and Andrew really stepped up. NTA, not your fault. That boyfriend definitely sounds shady, and you should kick that woman out of your house. Honestly, I hate people who make their own and everyone else's life miserable and then act out as if the world has wronged them. NTA, you're not the a-hole for thinking your boyfriend actually cheated on you. Even if he hasn't done anything, it's a major red flag that he chose to not tell you about his history when you specifically talked to him about it. I'd say break up and walk away with your dignity still intact. I'm a 26-year-old female, and my fiancé, 26, male, and I live in an apartment where dogs and cats are allowed. It was actually the main reason we moved in over a year ago. This is the first time in my life I have lived in a place where pets are allowed because they are in very high demand, are much more expensive, and there aren't that many of them. I was on the waiting list for 5 years. So about a month after we moved in, we got our puppy. She is a sweet, mostly well-mannered Landseer European Continental, albeit still quite hyper as she is still young. So the other day, as we were coming home from one of our daily walks, our next-door neighbor stopped us to say that the dog hairs our dog sheds in the shared staircase is giving her a rash around her mouth. I was not having a great day, so I just said okay and went inside. However, I am confused as to what she wants me to do about it, since the rental company have cleaning people coming once a week to clean the staircase. And it's not like I'm brushing my dog out in the staircase. I also don't understand why someone would move into a building with pets allowed if they are allergic to dogs, especially as I said, they are more expensive and harder to find than those where pets aren't allowed. And they would have had to be on the waiting list for a while to get the place. But since then, our neighbor has been sweeping all of the dirt away from their door and leaving it in front of ours. I'm guessing it's supposed to be a passive-aggressive way of getting us to remove the few dog hairs from the staircase, but the cleaning people cleaned it Thursday when they were here, and it doesn't really bother me. Also, a week before my neighbor talked to me, we found a small ball of dog hair inside our mailbox. And I've been thinking it might have been that neighbor who did it. I don't think it is my job to clean the staircase, and I can't completely ensure my dog doesn't shed out there, and I already brush her once, sometimes twice a week. But I've been wondering maybe I am an a-hole for not doing anything about it. I do feel bad my neighbor is experiencing rashes and probably discomfort, AITA. I don't know how the neighbor is getting a rash around her mouth or if I misunderstood and she meant her throat is scratching. It can be hard to understand them since they are an older, Middle Eastern looking couple who speak very little Danish. It is very easy to see the hairs are from my dog since she pointed directly at some white dog hairs between our two doors, and the other dog in the building is a Yorkie who lives on the floor below us. They do not own a cat. Only one other neighbor in this building has a cat. But I know a few others from the two other buildings in our department have cats as well. If they wanted any other small pet like fish, rabbit, guinea pig, small snakes, or whatever they could get at any place they wanted, even places with pets not allowed, since that is allowed by law in Denmark unless otherwise stated in the rental agreement, which it rarely ever is. A lot of people, actually most it seems, are encouraging me to report this behavior, and since so many agree, I will take that advice and do that via email. If anyone is wondering why I didn't consider this as escalating harassment, I will mention that here in Denmark, people are often much more passive-aggressive than confrontational, at least in my experience. And putting stuff in people's mailboxes aren't seen as that big of a deal. We even have a hated tradition where teens and immature adults blow up mailboxes every New Year's Eve. Lastly, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone taking their time and answering. I didn't think I would get this much response. I rarely post anything anywhere. I just kept wondering about this, and I felt kind of wrong for not being more caring about my neighbor, so I wanted a bit more perspective. NTA, your neighbor made the choice to live in a building that allows dogs while allergic to dogs? That seems like a poor decision on her part. But it is time to cover your ass. I'd reach out to the building manager to clarify cleaning policy and inform them of the light harassment against you. NTA, she develops a reaction if she walks through an area that a dog also occasionally walks through, yet she has chosen to live in a pet-friendly building. She needs to find a solution because you are doing nothing unreasonable. Sweeping the floors is probably causing her more problems than leaving them for the cleaners. Tell your landlord, especially about her putting hairs through your letterbox. That's a bit unhinged. Are there other people with dogs in the building? Do they also have problems with her? I, 35 female, live with my husband, 37 male. We have two children aged 6 and 8. My husband and I work full-time and occasionally hire a babysitter during the day on weekends if we need to work. The babysitter is a girl named Sam, female 19, who's my friend's daughter. We pay Sam the average market rate for a babysitter for 2 kids in our country. A few weeks ago, we hired Sam to babysit on Saturday for around 5 hours. I came home from work first, and I noticed Sam was a bit unusually giddy. Sam got her things and left about 5 minutes later. A few hours after, I went to go use the microwave, and I noticed the inside of it was all burned, and it had a funky smell. I tried to use it anyway, silly me, and although it could be switched on, it didn't work at all. I asked my kids if they knew what happened to the microwave. My eldest said that Sam did magic in the microwave. I asked what he meant, and he said Sam put a burrito in the microwave and there was a fire inside the microwave. My youngest backed him up and said that Sam told them it was a magic trick. I asked them if the burrito was wrapped in foil. And they both said yes. I admit my kids tell tall tales sometimes, but I can tell just by their faces when they're lying. When he got home from work, I told my husband what happened and we agreed that Sam should pay for a new microwave. I texted Sam and explained to her that we know she broke the microwave and we expect her to pay for a replacement. Sam apologized and said that she was tired and didn't really think about what she was doing. She said she can't afford to pay for a new microwave. I offered installments, but that was still a no-go. My husband and I decided to fire Sam because putting foil in the microwave was a very poor judgment and could have caused a fire. And also, her refusal to get a replacement was unreasonable. Plus, she didn't even tell us it happened. Sam was really upset that we fired her. Sam's parents think we were being very unreasonable and said that Sam is only 19 and deserves a second chance, and that microwaves aren't super expensive and we should just get a new one. I told my friend if they aren't expensive, then she should get us a new microwave since her daughter broke it. She told me to stop being ridiculous and said that we're being a-holes to her daughter. NTA. Actions have consequences. In your shoes, I would be forgiving if she had owned up and apologized, but the fact she said nothing until you found out makes it worse. I think this might affect your relationship with your friend, though. Could you come to an agreement where Sam perhaps works some hours for free to cover the cost of a replacement microwave? NTA, a 19-year-old should know better than putting foil in a microwave. That's reasonable grounds to not hire her again, IMO. She also clearly didn't take responsibility, so I wouldn't trust her to take responsibility for your kids either.